Our next guest here this morning is Dr. Willem Henning. He's an oncologist and part of the co-captain for the Ride to Conquer Cancer.
Yep.
Good morning.
Well, thank you.
So you are, you've missed the variety show for the last couple of years,
That's right.
or last year, and you'll miss it this year. But what is your involvement a little bit?
So it actually goes back a little bit. A few years in 2012, Baker Sinchuk, who's the CEO for the Baker Cancer Foundation, she came to the Tom Baker, and the leadership decided, why don't we put a team together from the Tom Baker, within the Tom Baker, to actually help facilitate and stimulate research. By means of the money that we raise through our team will actually end up back in our cancer center. Perfect. So it's very local. And we said, yes, we can do this. And I and a few others put a team together. We started off 26 in 2012, and we've grown now to almost 100 riders on the team. We're still the same arrangement. Our money that we raise will facilitate all the way back through to the Tom Baker, to the clinical research unit. And during this time, we get great people like these two sitting here next to me to contribute in very many ways. For instance, like events like the variety show, spinning events, etc., etc. And with that, we achieve two things. Ultimately, we get the money, we get the dough. That's what it's all about. But more importantly, also, we send out a message. We send out a awareness right, with regards to cancer. As Barrett earlier said, you know, tell us of one person not being affected directly or indirectly with cancer. So, you know, there's a lot at stake here. And we can ultimately change the future for ourselves, but more importantly for our children, right? So, you know, we want to really focus on research. We know that's really where we need to start working if we ever want to conquer this disease. So that's our motivation. Get the message out, make the people understand that we're actually doing something locally in Calgary and changing the future of cancer.
Well, you mentioned research, Sir Kay. There's a video question that we have for you as well too. So have a look and have a listen, Dr. Henning.
I was wondering what I can do to help a friend who has cancer.
A person who has cancer, a friend who has cancer. Well, that's maybe more for you, Sonia, but I know we have another one too that's more specific about research. Yeah. If we can jump to that, guys, because I know that this one is probably one that the doctor would like to have. Okay, well, the other one that we had was also someone who said, what would happen about what's happening with research in Calgary when it comes to cancer?
Yeah, well, thanks for that question. I mean, how much time do I have ultimately, right? And secondly, I don't want to bore you guys and put the show to sleep, but let's keep it really simple. There's two aspects to research in cancer. One is translational, benchmark, in the lab. You know, you have petri dish, you have maybe mice, and you look at cancer cells and the growth and what actually can stop it, how do we understand the biology and growth, and you want to take that knowledge to the second part, which is clinical research. We actually apply it to humans. And so that's really the very exciting area. And Tom Baker is lucky to be involved in all of cancer research, but in particularly those two areas. Many of my colleagues actually run and have a lab or labs at the Tom Baker where they do benchmark research. And then almost all of us as oncologists are involved in clinical research where we bring new drugs and potentially better treatments to our patients. And we compare that to the current standard of care. You know, it's so pivotal. It's so, I must do this, because ultimately that's the step forward. If I can give an example, this year we celebrate the 30th anniversary of the discovery of the HER2 gene in breast cancer. So that's a gene that predicts for a very aggressive growth and a very aggressive kind of cancer. That gene was discovered in 1984 and 85 in Los Angeles. And since that time, there has been a phenomenal development of therapies and drugs against that gene. And so we've seen how women live longer and live much better because of those discoveries. So it's finding the reason why cancer is growing and ultimately finding the novel treatment to stop that.
Shining example sitting right beside you.
Absolutely.
You have a connection here with Sonia.
Yes, we do. We actually go a long ways together. When we first moved from Manitoba, I worked as a GP in Manitoba, and then as a GP here in Calgary, and we met. Sonia was my patient, and then I kind of lost my mind again. Decided I like cancer so much, I'll retrain. Went back to residency and school, and ultimately qualified as a medical oncologist. But had the pleasure of leaving my practice and this lovely woman here with my wife, who's a family physician. And so the bond continues. Yes. I didn't treat Sonia at the cancer center, but one of my esteemed colleagues did. And so we've been part of each other's lives for a while.
Yep.
Fantastic.
I know.
It is a really great story. How have you guys bonded and helped each other over the years?
The support has been great. And obviously when Willem started working at the Tom Baker, and I was, his wife was my GP and is still my family doctor, you know, various things happened. But when I was diagnosed, the support that she gave me was fabulous. Of course it was. But she urged me to keep up. She knew that I was active prior to my diagnosis, that I was physically active. And she really encouraged me to keep that up. And she said, you should join our team and, you know, and do the Alberta Ride to Conquer Cancer. And I said, no way. It didn't seem possible because, you know, after chemo I was so tired and felt so terrible. I thought that would never be an option. But I did, and the encouragement and the support of these guys and their passion for cancer research and for the patients is incredible. Their passion is huge.
You know, Barry, when you hear this, you really do understand why you're putting this variety show together.
Oh, 100%. I still picture my wife reading a letter to her dad as he's dying.
Oh,
and
touches you, man.
It does. It does. Oh. I'm trying to keep it together here right now, but that's. I never want to have my kids have to do that for
Reading
me.
that,
And so that's. I mean, I made the joke that my wife told me to ride, but it wasn't a hard sell. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is how we want to change this. You know, how are we going to do it? I believe, and many of my colleagues believe, that the only way to do this was with good, systematic, methodological, boring research. But that's the way to actually conquer this disease, right? One step at a time.
Yeah, but you need help, you need financial help, and that's where this comes in.
Absolutely.
That's where you're playing your part.
So if you want to ride, I mean, we got room on the team.
If truth be told, I'm glad you asked me that, because there is a Shaw team, which I'm a part of as well too. So we put a team together, and if you would like to donate, right? Well, that's how it works. Because to understand why you're doing it is one reason, to do it is another. But at the same time, though, this does help for me as well too to appreciate why we put a team together here at Shaw as well too, for the same reasons that you're all talking about as well too. It's great to have you here, Dr. Willem Henning, who is an oncologist and Tom Baker Cancer Conquerors team co-captain.